Welcome to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, special edition of the Dock Talk here. We're going to catch up with the Colorado anglers that were out representing the state at the Bassmaster Classic. Let's fire this thing up now. What's happening, folks? Welcome to a special edition of the podcast here, kind of jumping out of our episode string, but that's all right. We wanted to make sure to catch up with these guys. Our Colorado anglers who went out and represented the state for us at the Bassmaster National Kayak Championship. Man, it was an awesome event to see it from the sidelines. I can only imagine what it felt like to get out there and fish in that, and that's why we got these guys back here. We followed their journey leading up. The entire state pulling for them. Super proud of all three of these guys, the way they go out and compete and represent for us. Let's go ahead and bring them in here. I've got a full house here. Let's bring in the state champ himself, Mr. Matt Arledge. What's happening, champ?
How you doing?
We'll get the guy that was chomping right at your heels. We'll bring him in. Mr. Flanagan, how are you, sir?
Good to see you guys.
And now that we got you guys in here, let's bring in the good looks to the whole thing here. The guy that, brings the youth. Yeah, the youth to the stage. Mr. Chen Charlie, how are you, sir?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're old, but that's all right.
At least he finally has his phone horizontally instead of vertically. Yeah.
Right. Wouldn't even know it was a phone right now.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, you guys went down to Grand Lake, Oklahoma. Nope, 10 Killer. You went to 10 Killer, Oklahoma, and you guys enjoyed an entire week. The weather, man, was bouncing all over the place on you guys, it seemed like. Got a little chilly a little bit out there. I can only imagine. I was in that boat on Saturday morning running around getting some footage on the Classic, and dude, it was ice cream headache time. I was busting out the beanie and keeping that on. It was chilly. You get that weather. Do you think the weather, Mr. Arledge? Do you think that played at all throughout there, or didn't seem to really affect too much for the majority of the field?
I don't know. It definitely changed. I mean, Matt figured him out better than the rest of us, so you should probably ask him this question. But it seemed like, we were dealing with, whether it was warm or cold, we were dealing with some sort of wind. And then the first day of the tournament, it was just like dead calm for a while. And then a little later, it slowly picked up. So that probably affected things. But for me, fishing was worse on day two by a lot. But I did switch spots. So
before we get into the fishing stuff, let's just go around the room here. I just want to talk about your experience going there, how you felt things were run, just the local area, the travel, getting there, lead up. We'll start with you, champ. We'll start and just give us your take on the whole thing now that you've had a chance to kind of sit down a little bit and see it. And that's you, Mr. Arledge.
Oh, I heard someone say Chen.
No, I said champ.
Champ.
Okay, my bad. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
I heard Chen. I was waiting for Chen, and everybody's looking at me funny.
Your name rhymes with champ, Chen. Yeah. See?
So,
there you go.
My favorite part was getting that filled out a little bit more. But at the Classic there, the little expo thing, the front end of it, getting set up and registered and all that fun, run pretty clean. I sort of have visions in my head of being on the Bassmaster Classic stage and registration, and everybody wants to talk to you because you're famous, but wasn't quite there for the kayak guys. But it was still a great event. Don't want to steal too much of the time, but
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Flanagan, let's go to you. Just talk about your experience, man. What it was, what it was like taking that whole thing in. Because I mean, not for nothing, we're all out here. This is what one of the biggest draws to the CKB, right? I mean, this is why CKB is going to continue, is because we're fighting for a chance to go do what you guys did, brother. I mean, in my opinion, it's the biggest dance we got right now.
It is, and it was amazing. And I have to go back next year and every year after that now, especially next year since it's in Texas. It's another reasonable drive for us. So, I mean, I'm going to try to qualify at Possum Kingdom in 2 weeks. I'm going to try to qualify through Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, whatever I got to do to get there, except by forward-facing sonar. I'm going to do to get back. But it was amazing. Big shout out to Steve Owens, who I know you've had on the show. He runs a great tournament. And just meeting everybody out there. Met a bunch of famous kayak anglers: Christine, Guillermo, Drew Gregory, the eventual winner, of course. It was super cool. And then, like Matt said, seeing all the boat pros at the expo. We got in an hour early, being nation members. So we walked in, and KVD's right there by himself, no line or anything. He still looks a little disheveled and not quite happy to be there. Maybe I don't know. That we might have been reading something into that, but I think he didn't quite have his game face on because we got to him early. But it was cool.
I think I did a similar thing at Red Crest in 2019. Caught him a little early, and so yeah, I think that's just his normal. He's got a pretty intense look on his face just by his nature.
He does.
Chen,
but yeah.
Chen, you had a chance as well, man, to kind of take this in. This is obviously, the biggest show for any of us to, get a chance to be at, man. That was amazing stuff. What'd that feel like, dude, getting a chance to see some of these guys you've been following around, and now here you are shoulder to shoulder with them?
I wouldn't say shoulder to shoulder, because pretty much everybody was like 6 feet plus tall. That's one thing I realized is, like, the person that was probably closest to my height might have been like Brandon Polinick, actually.
Right.
Apart from that, everybody's like 6'2", 6'3". Could have probably went to go play basketball, actually. They didn't even have to go fishing, but...
See, I found the opposite. I thought a lot of these guys were a lot shorter than what I really envisioned them on TV.
You're a pretty tall guy, though. So
you were tall.
Like 5'6".
You were taller than Damien. I mean,
that's true.
Right.
Damien fishes way better than me, so I mean, I would sacrifice height for skills and.
Oh, he's incredible. Yeah.
But overall, it's an amazing experience, man. I like, just like Flanagan said, I am going to do everything I can to go back again next year and every year after that. It's just different from anything you'll see anywhere else. Just the stage, the people. All the people that I watch on YouTube, and whether that be the professional, the elite series, or even the kayakers, or even everyone on Instagram that I talk to and stuff, a lot of them I didn't realize were even fishing that tournament, but it was so cool to meet other people. The town was super awesome. They had a lot of cool little bait shops. Everybody was super friendly. Everybody knew that you were there for, at 10 Killer, whether if it was for the kayak tournament or if you were in Tulsa for the expo. Everyone knew what you were there for. If you were anything or had anything related to fishing, they already knew what you were doing there, which is so cool. And it was probably one of the most welcoming towns that I've ever fished in, to be honest with you.
One of the things that I've tried to explain to folks out here that I meet, and in some other areas that are similar to ours out here, is that anglers out here, if you're not a fly fisherman, if you're any other type of angler, we're an oddity, right? I mean, we're not very common. But when you get into areas like Oklahoma and Missouri and Arkansas and Georgia and Alabama, you start getting into these areas. It's a way of life, and you're kind of odd if you don't fish. It's like, what's wrong with you? Type thing. What starts going on. And so yes, the communities, they welcome the anglers in because they know what we're bringing, the economic boost. I had an opportunity on Media Day to hear from the Chamber of Commerce there. They gave us some numbers. They anticipated the Classic National Championship full economic impact to the Tulsa, Oklahoma area was well north of $19 million. Just for that week that they were in town, and that's a tremendous amount of positive, flow to a community to just host that event, and put some, obviously there's overhead, but Yeah, man, you're right. The people there were, it's the cool thing about our sport, and I'll say this even more so, it leans even heavier on the kayak side, I think, is that we don't even need to know each other. We got a common bond already, and so that breaks the ice to get to meet these people and get out there. So yeah, man, that's I can only imagine, that desire to get back. I heard all three of you, say it, that is absolutely the burn, to try to get there and go do it again. So that's that's at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. Let's get into some of the fishing here. We'll start with Flanagan, as he had the stellar 2 days there. Dude, you were on fish, brother. You finished end of the tournament. You fished in 32nd place, and didn't the top 30 land in the money?
16, only
top 16. Okay, but still, you had a workman's effort day one and a better day on day two.
Yep.
Fish count, dude, you were up there on that fish count. You were putting fish in the boat. For sure.
Day two, for sure. Yeah, I think day one I might have only had one call. Day two, I think I put up 10 fish, so I had 5 calls. But also lost a couple, which everybody does. You can't say oh, if only this would have happened, I would have.
Right.
But it is on day one I had a 13 and a 14 in my final bag, so that's. A couple 17s or 18s would have
gone a long way.
I maybe could have been in the money. Who knows? Because I know other people had them get off too. So it's kind of lame to say, oh, if they didn't get off, I would have been in the money. Because if I could skate backwards faster, I could have been in the NHL. But I wasn't good enough. So it just.
And if my grandmother had wheels, she'd have been a wagon.
It didn't happen. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, I was, for some reason I had myself convinced that I got a 19.5 with 10 minutes to go, which was a 4.5 inch upgrade.
Hell yes.
So I was like, I had myself convinced I was close to the top 20. Arledge was a little bit more realistic. He was like, he's like, yeah, but other people were upgrading the whole time too. He was more realistic. I was like, dude, I'm gonna.
He was keeping you grounded.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Arledge's dad. He's gonna keep us grounded no matter where we go.
He's better at the math than I am. But I was like, dude, that fish put me in the top 20. But not quite. But that's all right. I'm still happy with my finish.
So, if you don't mind me asking, and only divulge what you're willing to divulge, but what was it about Grant that you figured out with those conditions there that you think was kind of what was helping you find numbers where some guys maybe weren't as hitting as many numbers out there? What do you think your key was? Was it just location or was it a few things?
It was partially location. I did find in practice I found one spot where I got consistent bites. Another day of practice, did not find consistent bites. My last day of practice, the wind was just out of control, so that was just a wasted day of practice. But really, it was a bait I was not planning on throwing. In fact, I was planning so much not to throw it that I gave it back to Chen. I said, dude, here, take these. I know you're throwing jig head minnow style stuff. He's a scoper. I'm not. I said, have some Jacob Wheeler magic here. And I was not planning on throwing it. And then after that day of practice, he came back. He said, dude, that thing was the deal. I was like, so, and it's right here, actually.
Nice.
Dirty Jigs guppy head with a Crush City, what's it called? Freeloader?
Freeloader.
Crush City freeloader. And it's not all I threw, but it did get consistent bites.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Well, awesome, man. Yeah, that's that 30-second. That's got and you say, you shouldn't, that it's lame to say those things, but let's be honest here. Okay. And that's the thing I always try to, everybody feels it, brother. I mean, so I don't think it's lame that you say it, because when it happens to us, we all know it in our head that, God dang it.
Yeah.
If one would have stayed on, man, it meant all the difference, in the world. So no, I think that's an honest, real take, brother.
Yeah.
I mean,
the scores were so close. I was 8 inches out of the top 10, which is a lot in fishing terms. but also at the same time, with a 13 and a couple 14s in my bag, that's only two 18s, and I'm right there.
Right.
So it's hard not to think about.
And it sucks when you do see it that close. It's like,
Yeah. So.
Good stuff. Well, hell of a job down there, brother. That was awesome stuff watching it unfold for you. And there was a lot of people back here that was, watching that Tourney X and
it was
chewing our nails, pulling for you.
It was cool seeing all the messages for sure.
Arledge next on the list, brother. Day one. I mean, hey, that was 70.5. That's not bad. I mean, there's worse days to have. Day two looks like things slowed down a little bit for you there. How'd that total result there ended up 92nd still? Not last. Ha. And so, we all had those days, dude. Trust me, that some of these outings I would have taken that kind of result over most of the stuff I put up last year. But talk to us. What did you find day one that wasn't there day two?
Yeah, I like to think I was really only one number off of what Flanagan did. So he was 32nd and I was 92nd. So not specifically one place off where he was, but just one number off.
a digit.
Sure.
Yeah. Just a big digit, but honestly, I was fishing something similar to what Matt was doing. Throwing a Crush City freeloader. Although maybe the trick is, Matt, that I was throwing it on the VMC jig head instead of the Dirty Jigs jig head. That was what ruined it for me. But actually, Joey, who was from Minnesota, I think he qualified through North Dakota. Was rooming with us, and he kind of took me under his wing, so to speak. He had kind of been jacking them in practice, and I said, dude, I'm not figuring this out. It's horrible. It's bad. I think my second to last day of practice, I caught one like 12, 13 incher, just totally random. So he kind of took me to a new area, not an area that he was fishing. I said, well, this looks good. Let's show me what the heck you're doing. I don't want to, rein in on your area, but if you're going to help me, I'm going to take your help. And so went out and kind of figured out, how to fish what he was doing, but with, my Garmin and not with live scope. And so he kind of helped me. I went back there to the same area that first day and got decent fish. They had moved in from kind of where they were out a little bit deeper in 12, 15-ish feet of water, sometimes up as shallow as 8. They moved like back into the back of the coves.
Oh, wow.
And I did catch some out a little bit deeper, but the bigger ones were like way back in the pocket, and they were all, busting shad in some capacity. And so did okay, but, when you catch 13, 14 inchers, there's just not a hope to do anything. And so, while I was happy I did decent, I also knew that I think Big Bass was 22 inches. So for me to be in the money, I think it would have taken me like 5 of the biggest bass for the tournament to, the second day to be in contention. And so my wife was like, you just need to visualize it. I'm like, well, that's great, but
I need the fish to visualize this too, please.
So second day I was just like, well, heck, there's not a realistic chance of me winning this sucker. I like to maintain a positive attitude, like I said, but also stay a little bit grounded. And so it's like, heck, let's just go try a new area and fish some spots. Tried a few different things. Really wasn't any different. I just didn't come across a whole bunch of fish. And I think first day I had really kind of an area more or less to myself. The second day where I went, there were like 7 or 8 people in one cove. And so I'm sure that affected some things.
Sometimes though, man, that day two, when you can go out like that and just fish free, sometimes that can be liberating, right? When it's like, I know I'm not going to win this thing. So it's, let's just, we're going to go not just fish for fun, but we're just going to fish a little more free with a little bit less stress on us at that point. So you can just kind of get out there and really get after it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean the bummer part of it all is I think if it had been the next 2 days, not that I would have won or anything, but the next 2 days I found a pocket and they were um, setting up pretty hard for spawn, and so um, caught one that was kind of circling a bed. Well, I hooked one. There's a better way of saying that because I broke it off immediately, but. Um, that kind of stretch when you find it, the next day could have just been killer.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so, yeah, who knows? A lot of things could have been done differently, but fun tournament overall. It was fun to see Matt's excitement, and
Right.
I'll let Chen talk about his stuff. But it was fun to see kind of all of us. I'm not shooting you down. It was fun to see kind of all of us work together and make things positive happen for the four of us instead of it feels like when we go to an event with CKB that it's so limited and it's a smaller area and we don't really want to give away our juice to
Yep.
a competitor. Like we were sort of all working as a team to come up with a solution to 10 killer.
I was going to say that's got to feel good, man. Because when we're back here in home waters, it's we'll have dinner, we'll have a beer with each other, whatever. But at the end of the day, nah, dog, I'm here to get something done, right? So it had to feel good to go to a on location to another place and be able to work to try to get there. And Chen, we got you down here. You were just a couple more spots down the ladder there. 104 is where we ended up here, and I think it's still. I want to make sure people understand. We're talking about 164 anglers out there too. So there's still a good portion of the field that you were in front of. Day one looks like it was maybe a little bit of a struggle bus was going on there, but day two, brother, you came charging back. To me, that's awesome stuff. That's, put chin down in the pocket and go to work, start swinging. So talk to us, man. What was day one, what that looked like, and then moving into day two, how'd you get there?
Oh man, day one, I was pretty excited for. I thought I had a great plan going into it. I think the deal there, with all the baits that we were talking about, there was especially with live scope, you could see them, but there was just massive amounts of bait balls, and you could see the bass just around them and picking some off here and there below the school, around the school, just pushing that bait ball. We had a lot of wind prior days and pre-fish and whatnot. I think that was kind of helping the bite. And that was the deal, kind of with the Joey, the other guy that stayed with us. That was the deal for him as well, as just that wind, even a slight bit of wind. So come tournament day, it's slick, calm. I went over to this area and couldn't find any bait at all. And so I was like, all right, well, that's fine. I'll start out in brush piles. Caught that first smallmouth though that I was able to submit, that first one right off a brush pile, first cast or second cast of the morning. So I was real excited. I was like, okay, it's going to be a great day. Like I'm just going to go to each brush pile and start plucking them off. But they weren't acting like they were before, where they were just feeding so aggressively. I mean, they would follow your stuff out and then turn around. It could be that they just, it was the light or whatever it was. They didn't want it. And so I wasted about 2 hours there and realized, okay, this isn't panning out. I need to do something. This is I was banking. I was kind of trying to hit a home run right there. I was banking everything on that area because it was about a 500, 600 yard stretch where I found just massive amounts of baits. In every little pocket, there was bait and big bass. And it was like, okay, this is plenty of room. Even if we had maybe 6-10 other anglers here, I can manage this area and still fish here.
Right.
But got there and there was no bait whatsoever. So I kind of started panicking a little bit. So that I went across the lake to this spot. So I crossed the main channel to this spot and realized, I was like, okay, maybe because the wind had changed direction, I think the day before. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe they went over to the other side of the lake and they're going to be pushed up in those pockets. So I went over there. Same thing. One of the lessons I learned was that a hard lesson was that I went somewhere where I didn't even pre-fish. I had no idea what it looked like over there. I had no clue. I wasted about 50% of my motor battery getting over there. So that was a bummer. I'm like, okay, it's 11. I need to do something different. Okay, I went into a marina that had pre-fished the very first day. And as soon as I get in there, you see Guillermo, you see Damien Tao, you see a bunch of these other guys. You see the Bass media boat there too. They're on an actual boat, and the Bass is doing their photography and all that. And I'm like, oh, well, and at that point, I know who was leading the tournaments. I had looked at the standings and whatnot. I was like, oh, I figured, okay, they're probably on the same bite, but I think I know where I thought the bait is. Went into the marina, and there's just bait everywhere. Bait and bass everywhere. I mean, I couldn't get any to bite. By that time, the sun got really high. And and I got real frustrated because the battery's about to die. I can't get these fish to bite. So with a little bit of time left, I would go to a point and try doing what I usually do in Colorado, just fish the way I like to fish, which is another hard lesson that I learned from going here. Just fish the way I need to fish. With a little time left, it was like, all right, you know what? I was pretty down, started giving up, and just started fishing my way back to the ramp on the other side of the lake. Went over there. Obviously, there was nothing. It was terrible. Packed up, went home. And I'm not gonna lie, as I called my girlfriend because the tournament was over. As I called her and just told her how it went, and I kind of broke down just because of I did cry pretty hard just because of the amount of work and the time and the expectation and disappointment, just everything that came together, frustration and everything, and it all came down. It's just like, man, I started asking myself, do I even deserve to be here? Should I even go fishing tomorrow? Like, what? Like, how did I not even catch a limit at 10 killer? And we had a great practice. Like, what did I do wrong? And I just started thinking back on stuff like, man, I did this wrong. Why did I do this? And thank God I have these guys here, with me, because they were literally the reasons why, like, they gave me a good pep talk, gave me advice. And it's like, that's just how fishing is, right? It could happen to anybody on any day at any level. And I think one guy at the Classic Elite Series, or the professional guys, I think he came in with no fish at all either. So like it honestly can happen to anybody, even on the biggest stage. But day 2, went out and went to an area that had pre-fished as well. Did okay on, and I went out there. And the nice thing is, like you guys have said, is like when you're just fishing, you got nothing to lose, and you're just fishing comfortably. It's like you just fish better that way, having fun, fishing the way you like to fish. I was fishing like the Demiki rig or the strolling, mid-strolling. That's not really my technique. I'm not really too comfortable with it, to be honest with you. I like to throw drop shot and jigs, right? That's like my thing. That's what kind of got me here. And that's literally what I did on day 2. Fished some areas, wasn't panning out, and I went to this island. It's called the Real Goat Island. And believe it or not, there are goats on that island. I found out. They came down, and I thought I ate something wrong, or I was, dehydrated. And I took a video of them. I was like, I think they're people's pets that they take care of over there. But went on that island. It was like,
nah, dog, they're feral goats in Oklahoma.
I bet.
They'll get you,
so I went over there. It was a rocky island. It looked so much like Colorado, and it's like, you know what? Let me just try here. I mean, I can see fish around there, right? Threw a little football jig and just hopping it back. Got hit and came in. I think it was like an 18 or 17, and I was like, okay, we're on to something. And so I threw the drop shot, caught some all smaller fish. I think it was like another one was like a 12 and a 13, and then caught another 17 and an 18 over there with the jig too. So it was like that was the most amazing feeling to be able to come back and fish. After that first day, I kind of didn't even know what to do, to be honest with you. So,
well, I can tell by the time you got to the Classic, dude, you had bright eyes on you. You were ready to take on the Classic and take in that experience. And I just want to say this. Number one, dude, that takes cojones and awesome stuff, to be honest, like that. Because I think if you haven't done that or had a similar close experience to what you had, Jen, then you might not be that deep into competition. It might not be as much of a drive to you. But if you are highly competitive, that's not unheard of. You're not alone, dude. I'll tell you, one of the best finishes that we had, I'm sitting out in the kayak by myself in the middle of nothing. No one's out there. And I'm just sitting there to myself, and I'm so swolled up at that point going, God dang it, it's about time. I knew it was just a matter of time before this finally worked out, on what we tried to do. Yeah, man, that's awesome stuff. And like these guys told you, it's going to happen again. I want to tell you that. It's going to happen again. Our sport is relentless. It's just Mother Nature reminds us just how insignificant we are in the big scheme of things. When we think we're that smart, she'll keep us, right where we need to be. But that's the draw, right? That's the fire that keeps pulling us out there.
So I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
So just to point this out to you, Chen, is if you look at the day 2 standings only, you were actually 40th. So, hang your hat on that.
Yeah.
What was your day 2 total? I didn't even see.
Almost 80.
Nice.
79 and a half.
79 and a half. Yeah, man, because there's a lot of guys that went out and rode. Yeah, you're right. That's a great stat, because there's a lot of guys that went out and really struggled on day 2. And that, well, maybe not struggled, but certainly had lesser days than they did on day 1, for sure.
Yeah, definitely learned a lot of lessons from this one. I mean, good and bad, but regardless, they're all good lessons, really good lessons. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the angler that I was before, I was a little naive, maybe. Definitely, there were some things that I was expecting, right? Like the bite just to be killer, that you could just go there and throw whatever you want. I don't know why. I go out of state, like we went to Red Willow. I just thought like, oh, you're gonna flip every tree. I don't know why I thought like go to every point, throw a drop shot, and just start catching like smallmouth like we do here. I don't know why I had this thing, but it definitely is super humbling. And I learned a lot. I'm definitely going to take a lot of what I learned to fish this year really hard, and learned a lot from these guys. Just rooming with them, talking with the way they dissect things, the way they like to do, like map study, or like what goes through their thought process when they don't do this or when the fish are doing this, right? That was huge. Seeing the level of anglers also at this event was crazy. Me and Matt Flanagan went over to the meet and greet, and it was at some bar. Super cool. Everybody's so awesome. That's another thing about the kayak community. Everyone's just so cool, right? Like everyone's very tight knit. Nobody acted like they were too cool for you, no matter how many followers they had or how big they were. That everybody was so cool. But just talking to them was like crazy how they think about fishing.
Yeah.
And why they're so good. And it made me realize why a lot of the anglers we have here are so damn good too.
Yeah. That's awesome stuff, man. And it is, it's at the end of the day, everybody puts pants on the same way. The kayak community really holds, tight to that. And yeah, it's the mental game. I've said it many times. I believe it is 90% mental, what we do. It's decisions. One of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given, and I pass it on every chance I get, is you are actually fishing against yourself, man. That's the thing. That's the biggest, deal that you got to fight when you're out there. It's decision making. It's a matter of, keeping yourself controlled when things aren't going right. What do you do this? What do you do that? But Arledge, after you were done with the kayak side, what would you say was your most memorable thing from the Classic itself, just the expo? And you got a chance to see the day 1 weigh-in. Did you go to that, I think?
I did. I snuck over for the Classic weigh-in. I didn't see the kayak weigh-in, but
so if you could, one instance that was maybe one of the coolest things that you saw there, people that you met there, what do you take from the Classic, man, your run there?
I kind of showed you already. I love getting the hat signed and talking to the folks that are, it's fun to be in that environment because they're what I call fishing famous. When I talk to, coworkers, it's like, well, you don't know who these people are,
right?
In the bass fishing world, like these are, kind of cream of the crop. Like, I could say KVD at work and
who?
What? Yeah. But it was so awesome to kind of be there and meet and talk to those people. And, for the most part, with maybe the exception of KVD, they're relatively down to earth and kind of chatty people. And, maybe we caught them on a bad day. I'll give them that. Honestly, if that many people were trying to talk to me, I'd probably be more annoyed. So
he was super friendly once he got himself settled in at Red Crest there. Yeah, he was.
He was. Okay. It was just obvious he would rather be fishing, of course.
Yeah, so we were. I think the highlight for me was actually talking to Jacob Wheeler.
Nice.
And went there and chatted with him, and I actually started to feel bad because there were people lining up behind some of us. And he got into, like, he was talking about the freeloader, and like he was showing video of his testing where he's like showing how it wiggles a certain way and why he did it. And he's got the one that's not yet released out, the smaller one that's the Mooch Minnow. And he was like, he's showing his phone, like he's talking to his buddies. And
dude, and that's who he is. I have from several people that know him very well. I know them, and they say the guy is a mountain of information, and he loves sharing information with people. He doesn't play it close to his chest. I'm like, that is super cool. So
yeah. So right behind him was Rick Lund, just because.
Oh Nice.
Kind of a legend. So it was nice to meet him with his 50 years of fishing. And there's plenty of other awesome people. But
That's so cool. I wanted to give a shout out to Joey Vano. That's who you guys are talking about, right? They just stayed with. Joey's a hell of a hook, man, and I've never met him, firsthand, but I have. I've watched him, quite a bit out there on the scene, and he's always super helpful to people. And so that's super cool that you guys got connected up with him, and he was staying there with you guys. That's awesome stuff. You guys had good company there for sure. All right, Flanagan, on to you. What? One highlight point from the classic side of it, not the kayak side, but the classic piece. What do you have, one or two, or what?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's. I guess I'm going back to the kayak side, but for me, it is cool, of course, seeing KVD. It was by the time I got to Wheeler, the line was too long. So it is cool seeing those guys, but honestly, these days, I follow kayak fishing closer than I follow the Elite Series and MLF. So for me, it was cooler to get to talk to someone like Drew Gregory, who I got to talk to a couple times.
Drew's good people.
Yeah, Damien was. Damien's pretty shy, but but me and Chen got to talk to him for a little bit, and his whole California crew. Got to talk to Christine real quick. Didn't really get to chat with her too much, but that to me those were the people I wanted to meet rather than the KVD and Jacob Wheeler. So it was cool to meet those people. A couple of highlights from like the expo was going to the Crush City booth, and they had the Crush City hats, and I was like, how much for these hats? And the guy's like, oh, they're free if you buy this and the other thing. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I might come back and buy something. I was like, I need to get one though, because I just competed in the kayak tournament, and that freeloader was the deal for me. He's like, oh, well, in that case, here you go, and gave me a hat. So I was like,
nice.
I'm sponsored by Rapala now,
basically.
Pretty much.
Right.
It's all but signed, but that, and saw the kayak cushion booth. Got to pick up a Bassmaster Kayak Series branded cushion, the new 25% thicker one. Haven't even tried it out yet. I'm stoked to get on the water with that this weekend.
Nice.
So that was cool to see a kayak cushion out there representing. So yeah, those were probably my highlights.
Arledge, you got one of those, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did. But what I realized is I forgot. I assume I'm not allowed to show it. But Bill Siementhal was working with Fish Lab, and they've got a not yet released lure that he gave me. So nice. I should throw him in there, because it was like, I was chatting with him about when he was with Spro, and he was he came up with the 8-inch BBZ and all that fun, and he was just stoked to talk fishing, and he's like, here, take this, don't tell the Fish Lab people.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Good stuff. All right, Chen, you had to be a whirlwind of stuff in there, brother, but what's sticking out in your head from the expo and the classic side?
Believe it or not, the thing that stuck out most to me, there's so much cool stuff there, so much product, so many people you could meet. But I ended up meeting up with the Omnia guys. They're not sponsored by them or anything. I'm just an ambassador for them. But it was super cool because before this, the classic had actually came, Trevor Lowe's the marketing guy over there, and he actually reached out to me personally via email. And it was super cool. And it's like, hey, man, we appreciate the work that you're putting in. I just want you to know that it's being noticed. And if you need to let me know. And just that little stuff right there, especially in the kayak community, it's like we don't pull in that much money, to be honest with you. We don't. We're the kayak community. But we have an amazing group of anglers, an amazing community organization, right? But I got to meet up with them and talk to them, and they were super cool. I was wearing an Omnia shirt, so I got a gift card because they were giving out a gift card to anybody that's wearing Omnia apparel. I think Arledge got one too.
Nice.
And that was the highlight for me, just because to meet the people that are supporting you in person.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the stuff that we get. It's a lot of them are out of Colorado, right? Especially unless it's Shields or Trocar, Eagle Claw. Thanks to Eric Ali for still hooking it up with hooks and being super cool. Super supportive. Those are the kind of people that makes it a highlight for me, is the people that I met. And the people that I would talk to, if it was like customer service or like that, seeing them in person, it's like, hey, thank you for make sure my order was good when it got shipped to me, or shipping it, a day earlier to me, because I know you guys didn't have to, stuff like that. That was the highlight for me, though, just being able to talk to those Omnia fishing guys. Is They're really cool, really awesome guys and helping me.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, that's it is. It's a small family out there, and I'll tell you, the legacy companies that run around out there that understand nowadays the change that's taking place, and that is, it is quality over quantity. I'll tell you that right now, hands down, because there is so much bombarding that takes place on social media. I'll be honest, I used to concern myself with the followers and the subscribes and this and this. I set myself free because I first credit it to me just being an old codgety bastard, but that's not it. I simply got to the point that I'm not chasing those things. If those things happen, they're going to happen. Probably something stupid is going to take place, and then bang, we'll explode on, somewhere, whatever.
Like an escape park video, you mean?
Bingo, brother. Bingo. The amount of quality fishing stuff that you put out, it's like that should speak volumes for itself, and that's the way we decided. We're going to stick true with our mission and the companies that we're with, man. So that's cool that Omni has got that's top class on them to reach out to you like that and check on you. That's super cool.
I had a similar deal experience with Eco Fishing Shop as
nice,
because I'm just a brand ambassador. But they had their pro team guys there, Marty Hughes, Lance Burris, who finished in 5th place. Their social media big social media guys like Jake Hepner, IL Yakin, and Ryan Reed, Real Yak Dragger. These are, and I'm just a brand ambassador, but they all treated me like just one of the team guys, and it was really cool to kind of feel that support for someone like me who doesn't have any big sponsors. It went a long way. It was awesome.
Well, they remember the early years for them as well. And I think at the end of the day, they know the real story now, which is, dude, we're just anglers, man. That's all it is. And some people have, more people following the videos they're putting out. Some people don't. It doesn't make it any different. And like you said, on any given day, man, they can go out and squawk and have a bad day and, just not show up. Stuff happens, man. So yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you from our side, the True Patriot Outfitter, the Doc Talk podcast, media access was very enlightening. I screwed up a ton. I'll share these two things with you just to make you feel better about any mishaps you might have had. So we put our name in right with the media, and we put in 6 anglers that we get to choose from that we want to interview, and then you're given 3. And because we're brand new to the whole thing coming in, we got, I did not get Christie, I did not get Hackney, and I did not get Brendan Polinick, but I got 3 other guys that I could interview. Well, that Pro-Am thing went about 20 minutes late. So my first interview was supposed to be 1:00. It's like 1:20 and we're walking to the boats out there. And I'm like, shit, dude, my second interview was already at 1:15, and I'm like, And the guy said, those of you who have appointments, have priority. But basically, everybody's open. You can just go stand in line and we can interview them there. So I get set up with Hunter Shryock, who, by the way, one of my new favorite dudes out there. Love Hunter Shryock. Shout out to him. Dude is super, super cool to chat with. Tons of information, and people sleep on that guy, man. Check his stats. That dude, he puts up numbers everywhere he goes. But we start the interview. It's going great. We're having a great rapport. I look back. I didn't hit record.
No.
Aww.
I'm like, are you shitting me? So I'm like, blip, I hit record, and I look at Hunter, and Hunter is so cool. He's like, whatever, and I'm like, I'm not going to roll this interview back, and I'm like, let's just keep going. So I just picked it up from there. So yeah, I got about half the interview with Hunter, and it was a fantastic interview. Well, I have the Bluetooth microphone, set up there. So then I get done with that, and I try to run over to Ben Milliken, because he was the other guy I got. Well, by now he's got about 32 people in line. And I'm like, dude, I'm not smarmy enough as a reporter. I'm not going to go jump and going, I have an appointment. I'm not going to be that dude. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to set the tone like that. So I'm like, guess I'm not going to be talking to Ben today. So I moved down the line, and it's like Carl Jacobson's down there. And I'll be honest, no disrespect to anybody else. Carl was kind of one of the guys I really wanted, because he plays around in the kayak game too. And so it's like, that's Team Hobie guy right here, man. Let's get this dude, and he's such a cool, personality in the scene. I wanted to get him. Well, I get there and he's got like 5-6 guys deep with him. And I'm like, son of a. So I set my camera, all up on the tripod, and I'm holding it. And I just start walking around. Well, I stumble upon Greg Hackney, and he's got 2 guys sitting there talking with him. And I'm able to kind of squeeze in there, and this interview's going on the whole time. And I'm like, shit, I hit record. And I'm like, I'll just use this footage here, because Greg, he and I are the 2 graybeards there, right? So he's looking over at me, this and that. We're trading, kind of joking, this and that. I'll speed this story up here. I go in, I get a chance to talk to my buddy John Rapp of the Rusty Hook podcast, and he's at the Z-Pro booth. We do a cool little interview piece there. I talk to Seth Fighter and Josh Douglas, 2 Minnesota boys. I chat with them. We get the great interview. I get back that night at the Airbnb. Trev and I are sitting there, and I fire up my video to, check this stuff out, to start dicing it up, and all you hear is... I never disconnected my Bluetooth microphone. My microphone was in my backpack the whole freaking time.
Oh, no.
So I had no audio from any of that stuff that I did. So that's why you just see pictures of me posting.
Oh, no.
Dude, but the way I looked at it was, this is why I need a camera guy for next year. If I don't qualify, either way, I'm covering the Classic on the media, so we'll put in again, because I've heard that you get priority once you're in. And I'm going to definitely put in for a second badge in there to bring somebody with me to be my camera person for the entire event, and then we can just buzz around and get cool stuff through the whole thing. So,
well, I'll be fishing, so don't ask me.
That's what. Well, the kayak thing will be done and over, and then we'll be in the.
Fine.
And then we'll be in the Classic is what I'm looking for. It's just to cover some of those guys in the Expo. So, trust me, I'm looking to be in that thing one way or another.
Yeah.
Speaking of this year, we got some cool stuff here. Let's close this out with this here. We got the CKB. Looks like our championship this year is down in Pueblo. Probably, maybe the best fishery in the state for bass. Maybe. Awesome schedule, fire schedule. It's going to get kicked off here at Horsetooth in May. We'll get that rolling. But we also, cool stuff on the works. Wyoming's got a bass club now that's firing up. Our club's going to help stand them up for the first year and try to get it launched, kind of like what was done for the CKB in its first year, to get things fired up and get things rolling. I think that qualifier was in Nebraska, if memory serves. Which I'm totally for that. I mean, hey, man, go where the fishing's at, go where the people are at, and let's try to bolster it. New Mexico's got some stuff going off. I don't know when their stuff is going on. I know Nebraska's got their stuff that's on the bass side. Kansas has got some offerings. We're seeing some bass clubs fire up here in the West, man. That's exciting. I'm looking forward for multiple chances to qualify. What about you, Arledge?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to do the Wyoming one. It was kind of funny because I was like, well, I really want to fish Horsetooth again. Had some good luck there in the past year or so. So think I might fish it again.
Going to fish the whole thing this time?
I mean,
jerk.
It might be better for me not to.
Stay till line's out at least.
Well, I'm thinking I'm going to start at like noon or so.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Got a soccer game to go to in the morning.
We're all coming in with the Arledge rig on, though, dude. Yeah. So you're not going to be alone this time.
Well, I'm hoping I get to use my brand new bait from Bill that nobody else has. So,
DQ.
Total.
But no, the only downside to that event is that coming back from fishing All American, hopefully coming back from that one with a win, and then just roll into the 11th and keep the fun going. But definitely gonna fish the Wyoming one. Depending on how, obviously I hope I just qualify then and don't have to worry about anything, but I may or may not fish the Nebraska one. And then for sure we'll be fishing the one at Pueblo. Probably either way, but definitely if I don't qualify, then I'm going to fish Pueblo.
Awesome. Good stuff. Chen, anything sticking out? Are you making the Classic, brother? Are you coming out for the All-American Kayak Classic, Chen?
Oh, I probably won't be just because of work and stuff like that. I used to have quite a bit of PTO, and then I'm looking forward to a really, really busy, CKB, CKFC, Wyoming, YKB. I mean, even New Mexico's Bassmaster, like just everybody.
W.
Or W, yeah, W. Sorry, yeah, just like everybody. So I was like, I'm not really looking to go to the Classic, the All American. So, but definitely, yeah, just like everyone else, just want to.
You're missing it, dude. You're sleeping on that Classic, brother. We got to get you out there one of these times.
Definitely for sure next year. Next year for sure. I'm just so focused. Like me and Flanagan and Arledge, I'm sure too. We're so focused on just going back to the Bassmaster Classic, man. That's like. That experience is crazy. That stage is crazy. The amount of anglers. And I know the Classic is. This was my first tournament with over 100 people fishing.
Oh, okay.
This is huge. This is crazy to me. Like, I was like, how is this gonna work? Like,
yeah.
You guys launch, and then we like get in the line, and you guys launch the boat numbers. Because there's like 163 of us here. Like Colorado, we get maybe 40 something if we're lucky, right?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think we have water that could support that size whatsoever. No.
10 killer barely could.
Right.
It was fishing small, yeah.
So what do you think, Arledge? Are we going for a belt buckle, baby? Because I think that is the juice for Wyoming WKB. Belt buckle, with a bass on it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving Matt's logo that he came up with there. It's pretty hilarious and creative there.
It was quick and dirty. It could be tightened up, but yeah.
I was going to say we need an eye or something because I got to tell you, at first glance, I thought he was riding a dolphin.
Yeah, well,
and I'm like, I don't get it. What's the connection? So put some lips on it, make it really be a bass, as it's coming up there.
I was having trouble finding a bass logo that was solid and anyway, whatever.
Cowboys and dolphins, I don't get it.
Then I had I had a pole in his hand, but then it went outside of the circle. I was like, it was the whole thing. It came out all right.
Well, listen, gents, you guys went out, you represented the state awesome. You represented our club. Everybody I know that I've spoken with, everybody's so freaking proud of what you guys did out there. So cool to see you guys there and to see the looks on your faces. I knew that you guys were having a blast and taking this in. Seeing you guys with your buckets, bro, that was so awesome. You had all kinds of stuff stuffed in those buckets. That was, that was super cool. And so that was just from all of us. Thanks, man. Thank you guys so very much for going out there and doing what you're doing. And now the fire is lit. 2024 is here. Season can officially start now. So just go ahead and start getting that money out, suckers, because old man is coming for some of that action this year.
he sold the live scope, and now he's going to be back where he belongs, right?
It actually kind of is. I'm going back to some roots because I got a lot of things to fix that I'm busted up on, and the last thing I need is more new shit. Yeah. So I'm thinning down my approach, going back to my roots a little bit so I can just really focus there, and then we'll start growing again. So, see, Chen, even when you get twice your age, man, you still sit there and you can still suck, So it happens, slumps occur. So.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, guys. Thank you so very much here. Let's go ahead and roll this bad boy out of here. Appreciate you taking the time on an evening here to stop in and chat with us.
Having us.
Yeah,
for all the family there. We'll go ahead and roll this out. Folks, make sure to smash that subscribe. We need that help out there when it comes to the YouTube channel. That helps us grow, helps spread the mission out there and attract a lot of help for the mission out there is on that subscribe tip. So, as always, folks, tight lines. Be safe.